Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today's going to be another episode of
Bum, 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 bum.
Marvel Monday. Bum, 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 bum. Today we're going to be talking about some of the leaks that came out. For people who do not know about this, I am going to go ahead and issue a spoiler warning at the beginning of this video. This is stuff that I feel like probably should not have came out, and I feel like a lot of people are speculating that Marvel intentionally released this. I don't necessarily know that they did, because a lot of places these photos are getting taken down. So I'm not going to be showing them in this video. You can find them online. You can probably find them on Reddit. There's definitely a lot of Instagram accounts and stuff like that. Probably a lot of other YouTube videos where you could find it. I personally am not going to risk it. I have a small account, but I would really hate to get one of my first YouTube strikes on something as silly as this video that I'm making right now. That being said, for people who have not seen them, there's about 6 photos that are circulating around. They're all concept arts for the most part. They could be big parts of the movie. They could be not important at all, actually. So that being said, we're kind of going to go through all of them. But first off, I do want to talk about the thing that I think is the most interesting. That's kind of a through line with all of them, and talk about why I'm very concerned about it. So, the main thing I want to talk about, like I said, there are a lot of things in common with every single one of the pictures that got released. They are showing us a lot of different glimpses of a lot of different characters, kind of confirming specific characters that we think are going to be in this movie. But one thing that I think is incredibly interesting is the setting of all 6 of these photos. A lot of people right now are constantly debating online whether or not these leaks are real, whether or not they're going to be legit, because they're comparing it to a lot of other like concept arts that we've seen from movies in the past. And they're like, well, look at this thing never happened. And look at that thing, this thing's never happened. But if you go through all of these like old concept arts and you're looking at the things that people are like, well, this never happened, all of them are taking place at least in the right setting. And the setting that they're setting up for this movie appears to be Battleworld. It appears to be a world where Doctor Doom has already got Emperor Doom. He's built the world in his own image, and it's medieval times. We're seeing a lot of things that kind of seem like Knights of the Round Table-esque. It definitely seems like it's going to be an old-timey movie. It definitely seems like it's going to be playing at kind of the... I think they had a What If episode where it was like the Man Out of Time episode with Steve Rogers, and I think it was like Marvel like 1547 or something like that. That's definitely the wrong year. But I think that they're going at the kind of medieval side of things. So there's going to have like the Knight of the Round Table. There's going to be some people who are going to be rebelling against Doctor Doom. And there's going to be a lot of people who are kind of sent off to their own like little part of town. Doctor Strange is going to be working with Doctor Doom, and there's going to be a very interesting, complex story here. But something that I'm concerned about with it is it kind of shows me and confirms to me one thing that I've thought about Marvel since the beginning of Phase 4, which is they don't seem to have any clue as to where they are going. They don't seem to have an end game in mind, and I think that that is something that has really concerned me when movies like Eternals 2 comes out, and they're setting up things for the future, and then... Sorry, I said Eternals 2. I meant Eternals 1. When Eternals comes out, and they're setting up a bunch of things for the future, but then that movie doesn't do incredibly well, so they're like, you know what? We're going to scrap all those plans. We're never going to do an Eternals 2. A lot of these characters we're never going to interact with again. Same thing with a lot of the Disney Plus shows. We have a Moon Knight TV show that ends on an incredible cliffhanger, and they don't seem to know what they want to do with the character again. They don't want to renew that show for a second season, even though so many fans online want that show to be renewed for a second season. And when we see that this movie is going to be taking place in a completely different timeline, and it's going to be all of our characters kind of living in a world that they're not used to, and then them slowly discovering, wait a minute, this is not where we're supposed to be. Something about this reality is warped, and something about this is not okay. I think that it could be fun, it could be interesting, but it's kind of taking away from one of the main things that makes Marvel and its continuity interesting, which is the fact that everything is building towards something, everything's interconnected, and this just kind of looks like they're like, well, we'll just throw all of our characters into the same world, and then that'll be how they meet. And I think that's taking away some of the fun of, okay, well, we just had a Captain America movie where it's kind of said that Sam needs to kind of forge his own Avengers lineup, and it's like, how is he going to do that if this is going to be an alternate version of the character? This is going to be a universe where none of them are familiar with, and a lot of these characters are going to know each other probably because like they will, because they've interacted with each other in this version of the timeline. But it's going to be really weird for us because it's like there's going to be no setup for Avengers Doomsday. And I think that that in itself is insanely disappointing. Obviously, with movies like Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts yet to come out, there's a decent chance that those movies have post-credit scenes that do a good job of kind of setting up and leading us into this medieval world where we're seeing God Emperor Doom, and he's kind of manipulating these people into having a different perspective of life, and they're living this new life that they didn't really... In their minds, they've always been there. I think that there could be interesting stuff done with that. I think that it can be a lot of fun. I think that it's going to be something that will definitely set it apart from all the other Avengers movies, but it's something that is concerning to me because it just shows that they completely scrapped any plans they ever had ever with Kang Dynasty. The whole multiversal side of the storytelling or whatever, it doesn't seem that interesting. It seems like they just wanted to call these multiversal stories so that they can go ahead and just completely throw all of the characters that they want to into these movies, which is fine, and I think that it's good, and it's actually exciting that they're doing something that is this multiversal. But instead of it being something interesting where it's like, it seemed like America Chavez was going to be a big part in the Kang Dynasty story because she's going to be one of the few characters who can go from multiverse to multiverse. It seemed like there was going to be a lot of fun adventures with like the Council of Reeds and this and that, and all of that seems like it's kind of thrown all out the window, and that is incredibly disappointing to me because one thing about Marvel that has always been great is that they set things up, and it seems like they just don't care about any of that setup anymore, except for the Young Avengers. The one thing that they've really done a really good job with setting up over the past couple of years with Marvel is setting up a lot of younger characters, a lot of very interesting kind of legacy characters, and I really like the fact that this concept art kind of gives confirmation of the fact that they are in fact planning on having the Young Avengers being a part of this story, and on top of that, they potentially are going to all be meeting up here and actually have a very interesting key role in this film, which I think would be incredibly exciting. And I think that it does do a relatively good job of kind of making it seem like they might be doing the Kids Crusade, which obviously, if you are Marvel, you got to think that is the most popular Young Avengers storyline, and having them do something where they're actively avoiding the main conflict because they're going out to go get backup is actually really genius. I think that that's incredibly smart, and I think that the concept art doesn't show America Chavez potentially being with them. I definitely think she's going to show up and be a part of this group, and there's definitely a chance that there's potentially going to be fun multiversal shenanigans with this group of people, with Star-Lord is in the pictures with them, potentially being kind of like the person in charge of them. I think that that could be a whole lot of fun. I know a lot of people are like, he's so mature, this is not a great match for it, but it actually makes him kind of almost more interesting to potentially be the leader for this, because one, it would give him a good character arc potentially, because as somebody who's been the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxies, he's basically been the leader of a team full of a bunch of children before, so I definitely think that this would work relatively well for him, and having Chris Pratt in a movie is a great way to kind of ensure that that movie makes an ungodly amount of money. I feel like he, like Robert Downey Jr., is an actor that's just kind of prints money. He's been in so many billion-dollar projects, so I'm excited to see what they potentially do with the Young Avengers. I am kind of upset about the fact that there's a solid chance that the first time we see them interacting is just in this movie, and they're not going to really do a good job of kind of building towards, okay, well, now these two characters have met. Okay, now they introduce this character. Okay, now they're meeting this character. Now they're meeting that character. I think that this movie is kind of just going to have to throw them all together almost instantaneously here. And I think that it will be fun. I definitely think that there's aspects of it that'll work. And something that I do think is interesting is, compared to a lot of the other pictures where everything seems to be medieval, this almost seems like a bar that is taking place like in the regular 616 universe as we currently know it. So I am kind of wondering if what's going to happen with Thunderbolts is they end up, by the end of the movie, ending up in Battle World, and then something similar would end up happening with like some of our main Avengers characters like Sam and those other characters who we're interested in seeing, and they realize that something's going on and a lot of the worlds are being brought into this same one individual world, and the Young Avengers being the only characters that are actually still on the regular 616 realize that they could be doing more to help, because what I'm imagining is going to happen now that we've seen these kind of set photos, some characters are already going to be sucked into Battle World. Characters like Hulk, characters like Scar, characters like She-Hulk, stuff like that. I think that it is incredibly interesting that those characters are, you know, established to kind of be in this Battle World kind of area. And then characters like I've mentioned, Sam Wilson and whoever his Avengers aren't. So I think that what's going to be revealed is some characters are going to be sucked into Battle World, and then the rest of the Avengers are going to be kind of solving the mystery of that. So people like Sam Wilson and whoever he decides to assemble for his Avengers lineup will be in the main 616 investigating what's going on and where all these people are going. And meanwhile, while that's happening, the Young Avengers will be teaming up and kind of realizing, oh my god, we need to go get help. And they're going to go across the multiverse and potentially find characters like Deadpool and Wolverine and kind of bring them into the 616 so that we could potentially see how they could potentially, you know, save the people, because they don't really fully understand what's going on. I don't know. That's just kind of my theory. That's my main 2 cents with it. Another thing that I think is really interesting, just kind of the overall sequence of this Doctor Doom being all-powerful, almighty. I am incredibly excited to see what happens with that. I have seen some people speculating that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is actually going to be the 7th member of the Illuminati panel that we saw in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because they never revealed who that 7th person was, and there was definitely a lot of different versions of it, but it could be revealed that it was that Doctor Doom, and he's upset that they killed the entire Illuminati on them, and that's why they're specifically targeting the 616 Earth. So that's interesting. That's a theory that I like. That's something I wanted to bring up. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. I am slightly optimistic about this. I think it's going to be great. I'm obviously going to wait for the first teaser trailer, the first pictures that they decide to reveal. I think that this concept art potentially being leaked intentionally is definitely something that's on the table, and I definitely think that there's a version of this movie where they really just wanted to show you guys, hey, by the way, we have something crazy in store, so they decided to release these pictures. I'm kind of expecting to be similar to Deadpool and Wolverine. They had a lot of like leaked set photos, and then when you watch the trailer, it was all of the leaked set photos, so we already had a general idea of what was going on because they didn't reveal anything new. They just revealed stuff that we had already seen because of the leaked set photos. I'm kind of expecting that our first full-length trailer will probably show at least 4 of the 6 kind of stills that we've gotten in this. So that's my theory. That's pretty much everything I wanted to say here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow, bow, bow.